Are you looking to buy a gift for someone in your life that loves to sew? Or are you creating a Christmas wish list for yourself? Well, I've prepared a list of 10 budget gifts for the sewists in your life. Every single one of these items will be linked in the description below, and I'm also going to be making a follow-up video if you're looking to splurge a little bit more. The first item is Thread Snips by LDH. Thread snips are super important to sewists, but purchasing a quality pair is often overlooked. LDH sells some of the best scissors on the market, and in addition to that, they're absolutely beautiful. You could go with the gold pair, you could go with the midnight black pair, you could even go with a rainbow pair. Any of the items that you choose to purchase from them will absolutely be amazing, and you can also check out their second sale because they have some that have like small scuffs or even things that you might not notice, but they're not in perfect condition, so they don't sell them at their normal retail price, and then you can get a little bit of a discount. Item number 2 is a wrist pin cushion. Now, normal pin cushions kind of look like a tomato and a tiny little strawberry, and that's often what sewers already have in their stash. However, for just a few dollars more, you can get one that sits on your wrist, and it's absolutely a game changer. When you're pinning fabric together, you can easily take pins off your wrist, and when you're sewing the fabric, you can easily take the pins out of the fabric and put it back onto your wrist. This way you're not fiddling around with pins and then putting them on the table where they roll off, end up on the floor, and eventually end up in your toes. That's definitely not comfortable, and if you stand on it too hard, you'll end up in the hospital. So buying a wrist cushion is a safe bet, and it's definitely more practical. Number 3 is a buttonhole cutter. This is just a tiny little tool that you can take a hammer to, and it'll cut out exactly the buttonhole size that you need. Sewists who don't have a buttonhole cutter often use a seam ripper, and the issue with that is that seam rippers are really sharp, so when you're cutting your hole, sometimes you can go farther than you intended to, and then you've pretty much ruined the garment that you've just worked so hard to make. The buttonhole cutter is an inexpensive tool that absolutely adds value to a sewist practice, but often gets overlooked. Now, number 4 is a bodkin. And a bodkin, similar to a buttonhole cutter, is super awesome and often overlooked. It's essentially a pair of tweezers that you can use to pull elastic through a waistband. If you're a sewer yourself, you know that pulling elastic through a waistband can be really difficult, and often we use a safety pin. This can sometimes work, but I've found that often when I'm pulling the elastic through the waistband, the safety pin opens and it's a huge pain in the butt. The bodkin pinches on the elastic and has a little piece that you move towards the front that helps it stay closed, and then it's super easy to pull the elastic through a waistband. Number 5 is probably my favorite on this entire list because I use it literally multiple times every single sewing session, and that is a cordless hand vacuum. I was just out shopping one time and I stumbled upon this cordless hand vacuum, and I didn't even know I needed it until it was home with me. It's perfect for cleaning up all of the little pieces of thread that end up truly all over the place when you're sewing, and because it's wireless and rechargeable, it's extremely convenient. Never again will you have a vacuum cord getting in the way, and your sewing space will be significantly cleaner all of the time. Number 6 is a pressing ham. Most sewists have ironing boards, and not many of them have pressing hams. It's basically like an extra thing that you can purchase so that it's easier to iron around rounded seams. This is extremely helpful if you're a garment sewer. For example, you could put your sewing ham underneath the sleeve cap, and then you could press it so it's nice and rounded. Number 7 is an expandable sewing gauge. This is great to make sure that your buttons are evenly spaced apart. You could use it for something like a button fly on jeans or a button-up shirt. It's also really nice because it's an accordion style, so you can either make it bigger or smaller so you can visualize where the buttons are gonna go really easily. All right, number 8 is an adjustable table light. Basically, this kind of light can just clamp onto the side of a desk, and you can move it in whatever direction you want, so it's easier to see what you're doing. Most machines have a small light that shines down on their work, but it's often not bright enough. Or because of the direction that it's pointing, you can get shadows, and then it's super hard to see what you're working on. Having an extra light that's adjustable makes the sewing practice more comfortable and will help you have beautiful straight seams without the frustration of not being able to see your work. Number 9 is a gift card to a local sewing store. This is a great option if you know your friend loves to sew, but you don't really know what they want. Maybe you're not super in tune with their personal style, so you don't want to buy fabric or something that they might not like, or you don't want to purchase something and worry that they already have it in their sewing kit. A gift card is a great way to show your appreciation for someone while also giving them the opportunity to purchase whatever they'd like. Okay, and number 10 is probably my second favorite option on this list, and that is purchasing a sewing pattern, fabric, and notions for a specific project. This is a really good option if you know the sewer well and you know their personal style. Now, to keep it under that $20 mark, I'm going to give you a very specific recommendation that should work for many sewists out there. Start with the Bloma Tank by Paradise Patterns. That's a free PDF pattern that you can have sent to your email, and then you're going to print it out at home. Once you've printed it out, you're going to piece it all together with tape. Then next, you're going to need 1 yard of knit fabric. I'll link a fabric option for you down below, but you can also just go to your local fabric store and say, hey, I've purchased this pattern and I'm interested in buying fabric, but I don't know what kind of fabric I need, so can you please point me in the right direction? And then that way you have a ton of different colors you can choose from, and you can feel the material and make sure that you're picking something that you want and you think that this person will like. And then lastly, you're going to need to buy matching thread. I always recommend Gutermann because I think it's a really great brand, and that's what I personally use, and you can normally find it at your local fabric store. Now, if you're looking to splurge a little bit more on that special someone, or maybe even just for yourself, you should subscribe because that video is coming up next.